Miley moved into her new house. For the last 3 years, she was living in a small one-bedroom apartment. She was working really hard to save for a big house. She felt proud of herself when the owner handed her the key to this new house. The house was a bit old, but it was way better than that tiny claustrophobic apartment. Miley parked her car near the house and unlocked the door. The helpers had already moved her stuff there. It was a busy week for her, as she decorated this entire house on her own. As soon as she got inside, she called her mother. "Hello? Mom, yes, I finally moved in. I can't wait to show you my house next week," Miley said in an excited voice. After finishing the talk with her mom, she started to look around the house once more. There were 3 bedrooms, a living room, and a basement in the house. She noticed that there was an extra key with the house key. She assumed it was the basement key. Miley hadn't been to the basement of the house earlier. She twisted the key and opened the basement door. The basement had a very odd smell, as if it hadn't been opened for a long time. She said to herself, "God, how old is this place?" She switched on the light and got down the stairs. The basement was filled with old furniture. There was a beautifully carved Almira standing at the corner of the basement. Miley went close to it and noticed it was well enough for use. She called the helpers and moved the Almira to her room. Miley arranged all her clothes inside it neatly. She always fancied handcrafted furniture like this. She finished arranging her room and finally went to cook her dinner. She was working in the kitchen when she heard a weird sound. She came back to her bedroom and got shocked like hell. The door of the Almira was wide open. She remembered very well that she closed the door of the Almira earlier. Then how did it get open on its own? She closed the door once again and switched off the room's light. After dinner, Miley was sitting in the living room watching a movie. The hallway was on her right side. At the end of the hallway stood her bedroom. The door of the room was open. Her eyes were hooked on the TV screen when she suddenly felt someone was standing near the bedroom and watching her. As she looked at the bedroom, she noticed a thin, creepy figure went inside her room. Her heart raced in fear. She couldn't think what she would do now. There is no one inside this house except her. Drops of sweat appeared on her forehead. She slowly got up and asked in a terrified voice, "Who is it?" No one answered. She walked towards the room. She was scared, but she had to check her bedroom. As she peeked inside the room, she noticed the dark room. There was no one inside. The windows were closed. It was clear that the room is empty. Still, she switched on the light to look more clearly. There was no one in it at all. She thought to herself that she hallucinated the entire incident. Just when she switched off the light to get back to the living room, her blood in veins turned ice cold. A creepy-looking figure was sitting at the top of the Almira. It had long, sharp nails on its fingers. As the nails scratched the Almira, a horrible sound came out of the wooden door of the Almira. Terrified with fear, she immediately switched on the light, but there was no one inside. The room was empty. She again switched off the lights. This time, she saw the figure came down and was sitting on the floor near the Almira. Miley could hear its deep, heavy breathing. She again switched on the light, and there wasn't anyone in the room. She couldn't understand what was going on. Her heart was racing like a horse. With trembling hands, she again switched off the lights. What she saw next scared her to sleep. The figure is now standing straight and just 2 to 3 hands distance from her. She stood there, being numb. Suddenly, this demonic figure stretched its hand and tried to attack her. Miley screamed at the top of her lungs and rushed to the living room in fear. She grabbed her car keys and immediately left the house.